What are your guys' thoughts on spaying and neutering dogs? Do you do it? Will you do it in the future? Let me know down below. Bruce Wayne and myself are really curious. What's up, you beautiful 213,000 amazing dog owners? Bruce Wayne and myself are here to go over spaying, neutering your dog. Bro, do you want me to chop off your testy? He does not look happy about that. About a year ago, I did a very controversial video on spaying and neutering your dogs. I went over a ton of science-based research and I got so much pushback on it. Has my stance changed on the entire subject since then? Before we get into that though, let's just go over some information I want to read from you from some studies, and then we'll go over my thoughts and feelings on the entire process. I'm sure all of us are in agreement that there is a huge overpopulation issue with dogs in the United States. I also know you guys are amazing dog owners and only want the best for your dog. So I know you guys aren't going to use the argument when it comes to spaying and neutering your dogs about your dog impregnating another dog or becoming pregnant, because a good dog owner would not allow that to happen. A good dog owner is paying attention to their dog. They're not letting their dog free roam around without being in a fenced in yard. Your dogs aren't roaming the streets banging everything that they see. I know you guys always have eyes on your dog because you're amazing dog owners. Unless you have a male and a female in the same home, you really can't use that argument. Now, I just want to go over some day-to-day issues that you, as the human, may come across when you do not spay or neuter your dog. A lot of people, including your vet, are going to be against you in your beliefs because you choose not to spay or neuter your dog. You may have a very hard time finding a doggy daycare that will accept your dog that's not been spayed or neutered. Most have a policy where your dog has to be spayed or neutered by a certain age or they won't take them. Same goes for some dog parks. Some dog parks do not allow dogs that haven't been spayed or neutered into the park. If you have both a male and a female, anytime that female goes in the heat, they're both going to be insane, and you're going to have to be really careful that you keep them separated at all times. But all of these issues are not health issues. There's nothing to me that would concern me. These are all things that we can work around. If you go online and look at information about spaying and neutering dogs, you're going to find hundreds, if not thousands of articles that are filled with misinformation about spaying and neutering dogs. Most of them aren't science-based. A lot of them are just myth. So I want to go over an article from the American Kennel Club about the dangers of spaying and neutering your dog. And remember, this is straight from the American Kennel Club's website. I'm actually going to list all these articles down below so you can take a more in-depth read on them. I'm not going to be able to read the entire article in this video. It would be far too long. You guys would get bored. I just want to highlight some points here. I just want to quickly interrupt this video because this is not a sponsored video by any means, but I teamed up with Big Barker to do a giveaway for you guys. Corso Claus is in town and they're allowing me to give away one of these amazing orthopedic SUV dog beds. I've been using this with Bruce now for the past week when they sent it to me, and he absolutely loves it. It gives him a much more cozy place in the car to lay down, stretch out, and still be supported with this orthopedic mattress. So Corso Claus, how can they enter this contest? Very easily. Just head on over to Instagram, follow me at JasonQuarry411. You must follow Big Barker as well. On this post, right here with Bruce Wayne, all you have to do is make a comment and tag one friend. Unlimited entries, guys, but every entry has to be a separate comment and tag. It can't just be a tag, you have to make some sort of comment. Algorithm likes that. Increase your chances by entering as many times as you want. Come back to the post daily to make more comments on it to increase your chances of winning and spreading out your chances. Bruce Wayne and myself are going to randomly select one winner, and one of you lucky guys are going to get sent one of these amazing SUV beds from Big Barker for your dog. It unzips here, and this big part unzips as well, so you can slide out the orthopedic mattress in there and clean the cover. Right, Bruce Wayne? And by the way, how cute does Bruce Wayne look? Now back to the video. Dr. Benjamin Hart of University of California, Davis has been researching the effects of spay neuter for a decade with support from the American Kennel Club Health Foundation. His paper on the subject, published in 2013, revealed that golden retrievers that had been spayed or neutered had a correlation of being 3 or 4 times more likely to develop certain cancers, including lymphosarcoma, hemosarcoma. I'm going to butcher these names, guys. I apologize. Please don't throw shade my way because I don't know how to read it. And also more likely to develop joint problems such as hip dysplasia and damage to cranial crucial ligament. The team later published data on German Shepherds in labs, finding that early spay and neutering had varying effects on these dogs, likelihood to develop joint disorders, cancers, and urinary incontinence. Now, Dr. Hart and his team have completed a further round of retrospective research investigating tens of thousands of dogs from 35 different breeds and focusing on early spay-neuter carried out before the dog reaches sexual maturity. They found that the procedure's health consequences vary widely between breeds. It's hard to predict which ones will and which ones do not have an increase in cancers or joint disorders with spay-neuter. For instance, the research found that in almost all dogs weighing less than 20 kilos, 45 pounds, there is not an increased incidence of the studied joint problems and cancers compared to intact dogs. All that is, except for the Shih Tzu, early neutering of male Shih Tzus the team discovered were associated with higher rates of some of these cancers studied. And when it comes to dogs weighing more than 20 kilos, they found that the impact of early spay-neuter varies hugely across breeds and sexes. And the variability doesn't end with breed and sex. Negative health outcomes from spay-neuter were often limited to dogs that were neutered early before they reached sexual maturity. But this isn't always the case. For instance, female golden retrievers spayed after 12 months of age were 4 times more likely to develop hemoscleroma as intact females and even early spayed ones, according to Dr. Hart's 2013 publication. Now, there's another doctor in this study giving his thoughts. Dr. Albright stresses that it's also important to take into account how serious, common, and treatable the possible health outcomes are on each side of the spay-neuter decision, while also considering the health and well-being impacts of unwanted pregnancies. While you make that calculation, bear in mind from Dr. Hart, although the risk of developing certain cancers and joint disorders increase with certain breeds were spayed or neutered early, most dogs will not develop these conditions. The emerging research can give us a picture of the likelihood of certain outcomes, but can never fully predict what life will look like for a particular dog. And that's because each dog, just like each human, is an individual with his or her own set of health and lifestyle needs and quirks. For a long time, many people believed that spay-neuter could prevent behavioral problems as well as prostate and mammary cancers. But when Dr. Hart investigated these claims, he found a more complicated picture. For instance, his research revealed that neutering male dogs with aggression problems only resolved aggression in 25 to 30% of cases. In other words, 3 out of 4 dogs did not show an improvement in aggressive behavior after neutering alone. And significantly, those behavioral improvements were equally likely if neutering was delayed until after a dog had reached sexual maturity. Neutering also does not prevent prostate cancer. Dr. Hart said, based on available data, prostate cancer in males is more common in neutered dogs than intact dogs. Like, my mind was like blown when I read that. Existing studies of the incidence of mammary cancer are less conclusive, but further research is ongoing through the AKC Canine Health Foundation and other institutions. Meanwhile, Dr. Hart points out that both prostate and mammary cancer are relatively uncommon in dogs, whether they're intact or spayed. And testicular cancer, though a more common occurrence in older intact male dogs, offers better treatment outcomes compared to other cancers. Meaning that you can easily put into remission your dog's testicular cancer if they do happen to get it fairly easy. It's a very, especially if caught early, it's one of those cancers that is curable. So should we spay and neuter? What the experts advise today. The take-home message is that it depends on a lot of different factors. We can't just use a blanket recommendation for all dogs. It depends on what breed the dog is, what the major health concerns are for that breed, or whatever breeds make up the mixed breed dog, what the owner intends to do with the dog, and then obviously if it's a male or female. For instance, owners of active dogs, whether they're jogging partners or dog sports champions, should be well aware of the joint problems before making a decision on spaying and neutering. So that is directly from the American Kennel Club, and I just want to quickly go over a couple other articles I'm going to pull up on my phone here. And again, I'm going to link these down below. I'm just skipping around here. On the positive side of neutering male dogs, eliminates the small risk, probably less than 1%, of dying from testicular cancer. Again, you guys need to think about not just if your dog is going to get testicular cancer, but what the possible outcome is for your dog if, per se, they got testicular cancer. If it's less than 1% that they may possibly die from it, that's not really a high percentage of something to be worried about, because we can literally worry about every little thing for a dog's health. Basically a balancing game. Risk versus reward, right? Also on the positive side, reduces the risk of non-cancerous prostate disorders. Reduces the risk of perennial fistulas. May possibly reduce the risk of diabetes. But the data is inconclusive on that. On the negative side of neutering male dogs, if done before 1 year of age, significantly increases the risk of bone cancer. This is a common cancer in medium, large, and larger breeds with poor prognosis. So basically, if your dog gets bone cancer, the outlook on curing them and saving them is pretty grim. Neutering male dogs increases the risk of cardiac hematoscleroma by a factor of 1.6, triples the risk of hypothyroidism, increases the risk of progressive geriatric cognitive impairment. Hormones really play a huge role in your cognition, how you think. Quadruples the small risk of prostate cancer. Prostate cancer itself in dogs is pretty rare. Neutering your dog is going to quadruple the chance of getting it, but quadrupling it is still a very low number. Doubles the risk of urinary tract cancers, increases the risk of orthopedic disorders, increases the risk of adverse reactions to vaccinations. For female dogs, the situation is more complex. The number of health benefits associated with spaying may exceed the associated health problems in some, not all cases. On balance, whether spaying improves the odds of overall good health or degrades them probably depends on the age of the female dog and the relative risk of various diseases in different breeds. So on the positive side of spaying female dogs, if done before 2.5 years of age, greatly reduces the risk of mammary tumors, nearly eliminates the risk of pyometra, which otherwise would affect about 23% of intact female dogs. Pyometra kills about 1% of intact female dogs. So again, that's a very, very low number. 1 out of every 100 dogs. Reduces the risk of perineal fistulas, removes the very small risk from uterine, cervical, and ovarian tumors. On the negative side of spaying female dogs, if done before 1 year of age, significantly increases the risk of bone cancer, just like in male dogs. Increases the risk of splenic hematoscleroma by a factor of 2.2, cardiac hematoscleroma by a factor of greater than 5. This is a common cancer and major cause of death in some breeds. It's a major cause of death in certain breeds, so if your dog gets that, again, the outlook is going to be very grim on if you can save them or not. Triples the risk of hypothyroidism, increases the risk of obesity by a factor of 1.6 to 2, a common health problem in dogs with many associated health problems, causes urinary spay incontinence in 4 to 20% of female dogs, increases the risk of persistent or recurring urinary infractions by a factor of 3 to 4, increases the risk of recessed vulva, vaginal dermatitis, and vaginitis, especially for female dogs spayed before puberty, doubles the small risk of urinary tract infections, increases the risk of orthopedic disorders, increases the risk of adverse reactions to vaccinations. So we do see some overlap here between males and females. One thing is clear, much of the spay-neuter information that is available to the public is unbalanced and contains claims that are exaggerated or unsupported by evidence, which I was saying at the beginning of this video. Rather than help to educate pet owners, which I'm hoping I'm doing here for you guys, much of it has contributed to common misunderstandings about the health risks and benefits of spay-neutering dogs. The traditional spay-neuter age of 6 months, as well as the modern practice of pediatric spay-neuter, appear to predispose dogs to health risks that could otherwise be avoided by waiting until the dog is physically mature, or perhaps, in the case of many male dogs, foregoing it altogether unless a medical necessity. The balance of long-term health risks and benefits of spay-neuter will vary from dog to dog. Breed, age, and gender are variables that must be taken into consideration in conjunction with non-medical factors for each individual dog. Prostate cancer, much of the spay-neuter information available to the public asserts that neutering will reduce or eliminate the risk of male dogs to develop prostate cancer. This would not be an unreasonable assumption given that prostate cancer in humans is linked to testosterone, but the evidence in dogs does not support this claim. In fact, the strongest evidence suggests the opposite. There have been several conflicting studies over the years that found either an increased risk or decreased risk of prostate cancer in neutered dogs. These studies did not utilize control populations, rendering these results at best difficult to interpret. Testicular cancer, since the testicles are removed with neutering, castration removes any risk of testicular cancer. The high cure rate of testicular tumors combined with frequency suggests that fewer than 1% of intact male dogs will die from testicular cancer. Again, just confirming the last study that we just went over. Now here's the scary one, bone cancer. A multi-breed case study of the risk factors for bone cancer found that spay-neutered dogs, males or females, had twice the risk of developing bone cancer as did intact dogs. This risk was further studied in Rottweilers, a breed with a relatively high risk of bone cancer. This retrospective cohort study broke the risk down by age at spay-neuter and found that the elevated risk of bone cancer is associated with spay-neuter of young dogs. Rottweilers spay-neutered before 1 year of age were 3.8 times for males and 3.1 times in females more likely to develop bone cancer than intact dogs. Indeed, the combination of breed risk and early spay-neuter meant that Rottweilers spay-neutered before 1 year of age had a 28.4% increase in males and 25.1% increase in females of developing bone cancer. These results are consistent with the early multi-breed study but have an advantage of assessing risk as a function of age and neuter. A logical conclusion derived from combining these findings of these two studies is that spay and neuter of dogs before 1 year of age is associated with significantly increased risk of bone cancer. I can go on and on through this study about all the different cancers that are very harsh cancers, that are very hard cancers to fight, that could kill your dog when it comes to spaying or neutering them versus not spaying and neutering them. But check out the article down below. Make sure you guys read it in full. You guys need to make an educated decision on what's best for you and your dog, ultimately. Now I want to go over one more article really quick. 10 good reasons you should not neuter your male dog. Most pets are neutered prior to their first year of age, which disrupts proper hormonal processes, removing the hormone generating organs of the body so early in age will impact other essential growth processes. Hormonal disruption in neutered male dogs heightens the risk of other growth centers. Neutering may triple the risk of hypothyroidism. Early neutering of male dogs increases the risk of developing bone cancers. Male dogs who are neutered are more likely to develop orthopedic diseases. The potential for hip dysplasia and ligament tears rises when male dogs have inadequate time to fully hormonally develop and grow bones healthily. Neutering male dogs increases the risk of cardiac hemoscaroma. Male dogs neutered during their first years have a triple potential for obesity. The original small risk for prostate and urinary tract cancers increases for neutered male dogs. The vaccines recommended to pet parents may result in adverse side effects in neutered male dogs. Neutered male dogs may negatively impact their quality of life as they age. Testosterone soaks the brain and provides protection from amyloid deposits, protein deposits that clog brain pathways. The risk of progressive geriatric impairment rises in neutered male dogs, as we discussed earlier. For the behavioral symptoms, pet parents believe that will be helped by neutering male dogs. Other negative symptoms and behavior may develop. Studies indicate neutered male dogs are susceptible to anxious or fearful behaviors, noise phobias, aggression, and undesirable sexual behaviors. So that's a huge myth, guys, that neutering your dog or spaying your dog is going to calm them down, it's gonna fix their behavior, they're gonna stop humping things, they're gonna be less aggressive, and just personally, I've seen the complete opposite happen. Now, Bruce Wayne, my Cane Corso, is the first dog I've never neutered. And that comes from me doing research on if I was going to spay and neuter him prior to getting him. And then I came across all these studies and all these myths that I thought were true were just urban legend and proved wrong through science. And unfortunately, a lot of vets out there do not do a good job educating you guys as the client on the negative impacts that this could cause to your dog. In my personal opinion on spaying or neutering a dog, you're playing Russian roulette with not only their health, but their temperament. You can totally alter their personality. The dog that you absolutely love and adore and just love their personality could completely change forever. I'm a very common sense based person. You don't fix your dog's behavior with a scalpel, guys. You fix your dog's behavior through proper leadership, copious amounts of time with them, and amazing training. That's how you fix your dog's behavior. There's no shortcuts. If you guys need help training your dog, a bunch of amazing training courses listed in the description, guys. Just click on them. You save 10% if you use code Jason. Also on all the leashes and harnesses and toys, through those links, you save 10% with code Jason. But I get no cred. I get zero credit unless you actually use the link in the description. So please, Bruce Wayne, myself, super appreciate it if you use those, if you happen to purchase any of those items. Now, I'm a very common sense person. How would you guys feel if your hormones were completely messed with for life? I think a lot of ladies can understand this probably better than a lot of men out there. When you're menstruating, what happens? Your emotions are everywhere because of the hormonal fluctuation going on in your body. Your appetite may increase. You may become overly sensitive to things. You may suffer from depression. Now imagine if you felt like this every single day of your life, 365 days a year, 24 hours a day. That's what you could be potentially doing by spaying or neutering your dog. Depression in dogs is a very real thing, and that is going to lead to so many other health issues. And none of us want our dogs depressed. We want happy, beautiful dogs. There's other options you can take besides spaying and neutering your dog if you choose to do so. They do perform vasectomies on dogs. Therefore, their hormones are going to stay intact. So it's not going to alter their hormones and increase, that I know of, all these other health issues that could come from spaying or neutering. In females, you can perform an ovary sparing spay. Again, leaving their hormones intact, but they won't be able to get impregnated. So to me, those seem like way safer, healthier options for your dog. There are a lot of protective components to your pet's longevity that are directly related to the hormonal balance in their body. I'm all for longevity in our pets, guys. I want Bruce Wayne to live to be 105. Can you live to be 105, bro? And by neutering Bruce Wayne, or spaying your dog, or neutering your dog, it's not necessarily going to increase the longevity of their life. In my mind, from reading all these studies and just using common sense, if anything, it could possibly decrease their lifespan. Don't be a sheep, guys. I need you to think for yourself. Don't make a decision based off what I say. Do not make a decision based off the ASPA, because if you go to their website, look at spay or neutering, you're just gonna see myth after myth after myth, not science-based. And if your vet is a big proponent of spay or neuter, don't take what they say at face value. It's up to you guys to do your own research, do your own diligence. I'm just here to present another side that is not talked about very much. I got so much hate on the last time I did one of these videos, but I just feel like it's so important because I just want you guys to have healthy dogs, and I hate seeing dogs get sick. Now, my stance is, right now, I'll never spay or neuter a dog, ever. I won't do it. Too much of a risk. It can just even if there wasn't a risk for all these cancers, just knowing I can really alter their personality, it's not worth it. Let me know down below your thoughts on spaying or neutering with the given evidence that I've discussed. I want you guys to go through those articles I've linked down below and read them thoroughly for yourself so you can better educate yourself if you're planning on spaying or neutering your dog, or if you're just curious about the topic. Remember, neutering and spaying is not your answer to fix behavioral issues. Training your dog to a high level of obedience is your answer to fixing those behavioral issues. Creating this bond that I have with Bruce Wayne is your answer to fixing those behavioral issues. It's up to you as your dog's leader to teach them right from wrong. If your dog's having behavioral issues, it's most likely your fault. Everything I'm associated, guys, linked in the description box below. All those training courses, I promise you, if you're having issues training your dog, they will change your life, and you'll be so thankful you went through them and took them. There's no shortcuts in life. Everything takes hard work, and the things that you work hard for, you're typically rewarded the greatest for. Appreciate you guys who use those links to get any of those courses or any of the merch. Stick around, lots more videos to binge on. I got some videos popping up all over at the end of this. Click on the next one. Learn yourself more about Cane Corsos, dog training. Until next time, Bruce Wayne and myself will see you later. Peace. Is he gone? Is he gone? Delivery people are here. Delivery people are here. He spit all over my lens too. Don't let him hurt me. Don't let him bite me, bro. Get him out of here. Good boy. Good boy. Good boy. And now he is just killing his heel off leash. Right, bro? Good job, Bruce Wayne. Good job. Amazing training courses, guys. I'm going to link it here. Just click that link. You can see how I train this guy. Use the same exact philosophies of how I trained him, and you can get your dog to be this awesome off leash as well.